It's Neil, and I'm here to bring you another Building Hope update. Today we are on location in the auditorium at the bridge, and I have the privilege today of being with Angela, Joanne, and Grace. Thanks for joining me, and we want to give you an update on our Building Hope campaign, and we want to talk to you today about this idea of legacy. A few weeks ago, we had an update video that was in the form of a poem speaking about legacy. And there were a couple of statements from that poem that really struck me. One of them was this thought that legacy can be defined as an impact that is made for future generations. Something that's beyond our vision, but entirely in God's story. So as I give that definition and speak those words, is there something that strikes you from that?
Absolutely. When I heard that poem, my mind immediately went back almost 50 years ago to the 1970s, when there was a dozen or so people who looked around Markham and they found this piece of land. Where we are right now is a legacy, because those people began a church. And when they first built a building, there was only like 30 families at the time, but they bought 10 acres of land. 10 acres, there's no way they needed that much. But they knew that God was at work and something would grow out of that. They didn't know what it was, but they went ahead and bought that 10 acres, and that's what we're kind of accessing now. We're finally fulfilling that vision from 50 years ago. That's a legacy.
I love what you're saying there, Joanne, because I feel like there's a couple ways you look at legacy. And the way I think about it in my mind, you've got the future, which is to come. But the other element that you've just referenced is looking back into the past. And for me, what resonates is gratitude, acknowledgement, appreciation of what came before us in order for us to even have what we have today. And you know, as we come into Easter weekend, you think about the sacrifice that has been made, and even going back how many years ago when they first bought those 10 acres. So for me, when I think about legacy, I think, yes, it's the anticipation of hope and what was to come, but also, like, you know, just the appreciation, and the word gratitude stands in my mind.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because those 30 families worked incredibly hard, and they sacrificed financially in order to build this church, in order to get this thing started. Right. So yes, we owe them a huge debt.
I think that's the invitation that we're extending in Building Hope. This is a fundraising exercise to raise 1.5 million. When we raise that 1.5 million through our Building Hope campaign, that is going to be that next partnership financially with the legacy of those 30 families that allows ministry at the bridge to go forward in its fullest capacity, where we don't have financial resources that we're using to deal with mortgage debt, but the structure, the facility is fully resourced, fully paid for, and it's full speed ahead to do ministry within this amazing structure that is also the legacy of that the decision made by those families some 50 years ago. Yeah, so that's our opportunity to be part of growing that and moving it forward. What about you, Angela? Any thoughts on Building Hope, the campaign, the legacy that we aspire to create and leave? How do you see that? What's your dream for that?
I see that as, I used to look back at what was the small building way back when, and I'm thinking, it's like a lighthouse, because it was in the middle of cornfield. And this lighthouse has gotten bigger, and it's like bridging the gap with the community. And so here we are at this current time where this little lighthouse has now become the future, this building, a bigger lighthouse, a brighter lighthouse, welcoming in the community that people can come. So every time you drive along 16th Avenue, there's this, not this little lighthouse, this huge lighthouse that's inviting you to come in. And so it brings the community, it bridges, it's welcoming, it's inviting. And again, further my colleagues talk about intentional, the intentionality that it's in this, that we need to grow because there's a world that's dying. And this is the lighthouse, where the story about the lighthouse, where it shines the light in hopelessness, it shines the light in darkness. And this, the bridge, the future, is where it's at. This is the lighthouse that's shining brighter than ever.
Grace, do you have an ask? Do you have a request to those who are watching, an invitation that you would extend to them to be part of this legacy through Building Hope?
Yes, my invitation would be to come with the anticipation. There's almost like a way of just saying, do we have the expectation? You know, when you think about hope, it's always leaning on more of the positive. You don't know what's to come, but it's going to be something good. And I feel like that's something we should all be doing together, if we can all anticipate what is to come, and have that expectation. It's definitely a glass half full scenario, right? Like there's more to come, and everyone should be part of that. We want to be doing that together. And that's the exciting part for me. I think that, not knowing what it's all going to look like, we know hopefully we get it all done on time. There's so many things to think about, but the bigger picture is, let's anticipate together. Let's expect together.